Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. So glad to have you with us. If you are just joining us, we've got a story that we're going to be covering now out of Park City, Utah. It is a situation where the homeowner associations in this municipality are upset with the city and the charges that they are receiving for the cost of having firefighters in and around where they are serving them. Here's the situation. It says the homeowners of the Jordandale Special Service District are claiming possible early victory against a rate increase to fund the district's fire station. The ongoing conflict between homeowners and developers center around the fire department's attempt to figure out who should pay in order to support the fire station that serves all the communities in and around this area. Here's what's been happening. Currently, the cost of maintaining a fire department in that area has been about $145 a year, and that's been charged per home. And, you know, Tony, when you stop and think about $145 a year, that's not much for having that kind of protection.
Well, it doesn't seem like very much. That's right.
And so when you think about what that means when you need the fire department, that's a pretty good cost there, good value. But with the recent recession, apparently a lot of the lots around Jordanelle remain undeveloped, and because of that, developers have not been able to build. People aren't buying. They have now defaulted. And when they default, it ends up going into foreclosure, and then the city's not receiving any tax revenue base from them. And it's prompting the city to say, hey, maybe we should take a look at how this fire fee is assessed on empty lots. And so apparently there was an attorney, I think, who's representing the developers, said we found out last year that we need to reevaluate our funding. I guess this is from someone from the city here, every 5 years. So he said we began holding hearings. That's a good way to move forward, I would think.
Get the input and feedback from your constituents.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
And so they began suggesting that there would be a lower amount. They said, a 3-tiered system?
Well, the developers apparently showed up at the hearings and said, you know what, we own vacant lots. We don't need the type of fire protection that someone with a home needs. So we don't want to pay as much as everyone else. So that's when the city started thinking about a tiered tax system.
Yes, and if I've got this correct, the tiered tax program would work like this. Homeowners would pay $25 a month. And then it says, and that would be described as properties that are ready to be built upon immediately would be paying $20 a month. So a little bit less. And then owners of undeveloped land, $6.66 a month. So it ended up being, about a doubling for people that are homeowners?
Well, yeah, they said the people with homes that pay for this fire protection, their rates would almost double in a year. It would be $300 a year
$25
instead of $145
a
year.
And so what do you think? Does this seem fair? Do you think that there's something that is inherently wrong here? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm not that familiar with tax structure and tax systems. I can tell you this, in other tiered situations, for example, in rental licensing, tiered licensing has really been helpful, I think, to the good landlords, because it means that we don't have to be inspected as often. If we come out well in an inspection and the city can see that we take good care of our property, then maybe we don't have to be inspected for 3 years. So that's a tiered system. It sounds to me like a tiered tax system in this situation would be fair, or maybe more fair than what they had been doing. What do you think?
Yeah. I think it certainly could be a fair system. There was a homeowner who complained about this, though, didn't they? You had pointed that out. They said his whole reasoning.
Well, the homeowners that of course are upset that their rate is going up so much, but his argument, it's not a valid argument to say this system is unfair because now I have to pay more. That's not really a valid argument. You can say, I'm unhappy that I have to pay more, but that doesn't mean that
it's
the
not
system's
unfair just
unfair.
because you have to
It
pay
could be
more.
that fairly you should be paying more because you have a single-family home that needs protection as opposed to someone who has a vacant lot.
And you know what? I guess I don't feel strongly one way or the other whether I think this is fair to have a tiered system or not. I probably would if I had a home in the area, and if I was going to pay more, of course I would try to lobby to try and have
keep
things
that as low as possible.
Yeah, and that is, and I guess the bigger picture here to me when I take a look at that is just that, folks. We live in a political system.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get out of it. People that say, "Oh, I don't like politics. I don't want to be involved." With my homeowners association, I don't want to be involved. I'm sorry. If you're going to participate in a community, it's going to require of you and ask of you from time to time to vote, to have an opinion, to move forward. And
at the very least, to voice an opinion.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's the least you could do in your community.
Yes, and so here we have a situation where the city, I guess, if we can use the analogy of a homeowners association, would be like the board. They see something that seems inequitable. They're concerned about defaulting developers. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to ease and do some things to change that. Whether or not changing what they pay by $140 a year is going to cause them to be bankrupt or non-bankrupt, I don't know that $140 will do it.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're doing it to try and make some sort of a measure, some sort of statement. But in this particular case, the person who's going to win is the person who is able to rally support around their cause, and the person who at the end of the day is going to be able to articulate what they want better than the other person.
That's right. Another issue that's raised, I think, in this story, one of the homeowners says he objects to this because it's putting such a large burden on the homeowners simply because developments have failed, and that's not right. We hear this argument in homeowners associations as well. Mm-hmm. My neighbor isn't paying their dues. Why do I have to pick up the tab? We're hearing it because there's a lot of default going on comparatively compared to past years, and associations are finding out that they have to raise their assessments in order to cover their costs because not everyone is paying their bills. And homeowner, we hear it all the time from homeowners that say, "Why should I pay more because my neighbor didn't pay?"
And you're right; it's not fair that happens. However, the only other recourse is if the money isn't there, you don't have that service.
That's right.
And so, yes, it's not fair. You could have all of the homeowner or landowners in this Park City, Utah, pay the same amount. But if there's not enough money and they have to make a decision, which house don't they go to now when it's burning? Because you're right. It's a very good point. When the house is burning, the people that ought to care are the people that do have homes there. And so, yes, they need to make sure that fire department stays there because that's a service they need.
It's an important thing to know before you buy a home in a homeowners association that you are buying into this group project and that you are paying for it. So if you have a certain percentage of neighbors that aren't paying their share, the rest of you are going to have to make up the difference.
Yes. And with a number of associations, they can get by initially, because some of the things that are discretionary items, like there is a shrub that's missing and the homeowner doesn't like it, but it's not the end of the world.
Sure.
But there's other services like insurance, trash
hauling, water, snow removal.
Those can't be cut off,
insurance.
And so you've got to pay those.
Yeah.
And so if you're a homeowner in an association, you need to realize that first and foremost, you've agreed to be a part of this corporation, this entity called the HOA, and you are going to try to take care of all of your responsibilities and the services that you enjoy together. And when it works well,
it's great.
People like it.
That's right.
Because they get good value.
That's right. That's right.
When it doesn't, you've got to pay more. So that's why the state insists that you really take a look at those governing documents, those disclosure items before you buy. If you're listening now and you're thinking of buying in an HOA, you need to remember that fact. Look at those documents before you buy.
And if you don't understand something, then find someone that will explain it to you. That's
right. We had Dan Greenstein on the show last week when you weren't able to be on, and that was one of the first things that he talked about.
Right.
Is that he is beginning to see homeowners that are actually turning to him as an attorney and other attorneys asking for help. People, you need to do that.
I mean, individuals saying, please
individuals.
explain this to me. That's so great. That's so great.
Well, folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got one more segment. But don't go away. It's a great article here about the Arcadia City Council who wants to do an end around homeowner associations and making decisions even above their governing documents. Do they have the authority to do that? We'll discuss that after these messages.